Hello, everyone. Here we are, Chicago by night. A new night dawns on the contested city. And we open our scene somewhere in Dunning, not far from the O'Hare Airport, where Ghost is sat in the parking lot of in front of a recently acquired building. It's more like a blockhouse type place, temporary accommodation. The building has mesh gates up to the front, and it's possible that it's used for some sort of industrial work during the day. And she sat on her motorcycle, having only recently arrived in Chicago herself. Surrounding her are her ghoul, who, well, we all know as Madame Monroe. Smoking a cigarette as she waits for this large cargo truck, which is pulled up to the gate open, and drives in, and he exchanges some pleasantries with Ghost. She signs a form. He takes the cargo out of the back of the truck, a large black box, and she nods to him, and he gets back in the truck, reverses it out, drives away. Ghost walks to the container and looks down at it, still smoking a cigarette, looking across it to Monroe, like it's an Amazon package just been delivered.
Monroe stands. She has a black cat suit with it's primarily leather, but it has kind of suede embroidery worked across the fullness of her figure. Flowing over the black pants are a pair of thigh-high black stiletto boots, and she still has her motorcycle helmet on. This huge black helmet, which reflects the light of from the guardhouse distantly, kind of inclines to the side as she looks at Ghost in that way, which implies, even though her face is not shown, shall you or shall I?
Well, I guess that, well, it is for me, but don't worry, I'll get to what I got for you later. She gives her a smirk. And casting a quick look around to make sure no one is in this sort of deserted area, but Ghost is frequently paranoid. She pries open the container and looks down at the man inside.
Morel looks around as well, just to ensure there's no one skulking around or there aren't any cameras that she should be aware of. So I'll do a random roll. So 2 successes.
Ghost picked this location for its remoteness. And she bends down with the lid, and as she does so, she takes out the stake with one hand and reaches out for the person inside's hand with the other in a sort of pulling up motion to pull him to his feet.
And as soon as the stake leaves his chest, Damien almost like he hasn't really been tortured the stake so many times, so the whole waking up gasping thing hasn't really left him, even though he doesn't need to breathe anymore. So he sits up with a gasp and taking a deep breath, as if like the way you do when you felt your breath for too long. And he looks around a little bit confused at first, but then he sees the first thing he sees is Ghost, and he like after a couple of moments he just smiles and says, "Ah, Ghost, this is so this is Chicago."
Welcome to the colonies, brother.
He grins. It's good to see you again. And he, I don't know if they would hug, but if they do, he hugs her.
She sort of pulls him into that kind of one-handed bro hug.
Exactly. And he,
yeah, she's helping him lift him out of the casket.
And he stands up and stretches. Like 10,000 years, exactly, kind of like Genie from Aladdin. But then he looks at the other kindred present, and he nods politely. "Milady, where are my manners? Damien Johnson, neonate of Clan Nosferatu."
There's an incline of her. She inclines her head, and there's the muffled voice that comes from the helmet. "You may call me Madame Mara."
He smiles. "Pleased to meet you."
She smiles.
And then he looks back at Ghost. Looks around at the surroundings. Yeah, that was I don't. That's a weird sensation. Going to sleep in London and waking up here. But
she smirks and she sort of disassembles the box, folding it into a more carryable size.
Yeah. Whatever small amount of stuff he had, that was mostly like his laptop and his like tablet and phone and stuff like that. Things that he can easily carry with him, because the rest of the stuff he needs he can buy in the US.
She would have had his stuff transported over.
Okay, good, sweet.
Separately.
Sweet, no worries then.
Which yeah, I've got your kit. It's back at my safe house.
He grins. Oh, that's good. I'm almost starting to get withdrawals, you know.
Yeah, I never really did technology thing, but
it's the future, he says. And when we're sitting in 500 years in the moon drinking blood wine, you'll know.
Fuck that shit. I like it here down on green Earth, you know.
He smiles.
Yeah, well, this place sucks. So let's get out of here. Get somewhere more comfortable.
He nods. Lead the
Put
way.
I put a parlay out just in case anyone wants to from our side wants to join us. But she sort of chucks ties the box onto the back of her motorcycle, and as it in its compact state, and she says, "Just eat it. We just got here ourselves, so still need to work out where everybody is. I'm guessing you got from my letter about this.
I'm sorry, you roboted out. I didn't hear it.
She said, I'm guessing you got from my letter that about the info about the city being contested.
He nods. Yeah. That's what worries me most. The anarchy we can deal with. That's about it.
She nods. Well, I'm not going to make you ride, bitch. Don't worry. I'll bring you. She picks up her phone and she calls one of her friends, and he comes along with a car that he can follow.
Mm. And
when they leave the less hospitable environment of this yard.
Mm. All right.
But she hands him a mask before.
He smiles and puts it on.
And when the car turns up, Ghost gets on a motorcycle.
Mm. Are you calling me ugly? He grins.
Waits for Monroe to get back, and they drive a short distance away to a house that has it's just a generic looking house, a suburban looking house. Quiet street. And once inside, she sits down. Said, "You can make yourself comfortable here. There's nobody around."
He smiles and takes off the mask again. And
the door closed.
Just so you know, Lisa, sometimes you just disappear so you can't hear what you're saying, and then like appear again in the middle of a sentence.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No, it's not your fault. It's just so you know it. And like once they're inside, and then he's been told that it's safe, he will Damien will take off the mask, and he will again look around, take in his surroundings. That's the first thing he does, basically wherever he is, until he smiles and says, "This is not bad." This is not bad at all.
Ghost seems to stand up quite central, and she seems to wait for Monroe to sit down first before she sits down.
Oh, he should have, with etiquette one, he should probably have known that, so he stands up as well.
She laughs at him a little bit.
Moreau kind of, when she goes in, she properly makes herself at home. She begins to take off this black leather jacket that has far too many buckles on it to be practical. She takes off her black riding gloves, and then finally the helmet. She'll run her hand through this blonde hair before she sits. She's like, please, we're all friends here. Can I interest you in anything to drink? You must be thirsty after your travels.
I was about to say Adrian. Damien looks at her with a smile and says, "I would be happy to. Thank you."
She'll incline her head and she'll look to Ghost as if she knows already what she needs, and she'll disappear into the kitchen for a time, just to give him some time to reacquaint themselves.
Looks after her. Ghost looks after her with this kind of smile on her face. and then looks back to Damien with a bit of a smirk.
Damien smiles and says, "You did good for yourself in more ways than one."
So we've got a lot to catch up on. I very much doubt we're going to be doing it in one night.
No, but we will have all of eternity, he says. The most
Long story short, we need to take the city back, and I need your help.
You not seriously tell me what to do. That's why I came.
There's not much. Like I said, I've only just got ground here, so I don't know everything.
Mhm.
I'm hoping to meet up with some of the Primogen, get a good grasp on who all's about in the city,
Mhm.
and try and re-establish some of the lost ground.
What can you tell me about the Primogen Council and the Prince?
I can tell you there is no prince.
At those words, they mean like you know that meme with Professor Snape, like the fuck. That's kind of what he does. There's no prince, so who's in charge?
I'm guessing at the moment the Primogen Council.
Okay. So what can you tell me about them?
Well, from a lot of what I've been looking at, they've been doing a whole lot of sitting around on their ass doing nothing.
Chuckle.
She rather just sort of gives a half-hearted shrug. There's some Venture Toreador. They've done well to keep the territories that they have so far. I know there's a couple of Nosferatu running about, but do is get everybody together at a secure location to have a rota plan meeting. And
Which Moreau comes in with drinks, which, my dear, I think is where we might come in. I think if we can meet up with our brothers and sisters in the area, we can at least get you some information so that you are more knowledgeable than you are now.
You know, I do feel a little bit like the hick that just came into the city on the 4 o'clock train.
And while I think it will be okay for us to be knowledgeable, I think it might skew your perception somewhat if you appeared unknowledgeable. So, what do you think? Shall we do a little digging?
Damien nods. I think that's a very good idea.
I actually do know more than that in character, but Lisa's brain is going. I do know who the Primogen are. I know that there's no prince.
Well, I mean, we can assume that I was about to say that we can assume that Ghost tells him what she knows, or
yes, basically anything done to the NPCs that are listed on the character thread.
Okay.
You can tell you about. Not this about NPC.
Obviously, yeah.
She tells you about
That's
the
what I have
different
to dig
trimmaging.
up. Yeah.
I would look at it right now, but my my internet's being incredibly awkward.
That's not a problem. We totally understand internet stuff.
She does read about the different. She knows of but she doesn't know any of the player characters until they introduce themselves.
Yeah, I get it.
There's information that I can't tell you because it's private. It's secret.
Of course.
Right. Merle waits before she sits to make sure Damien's okay with the blood that she's brought him.
He takes a sip, and I assume that I mean, Vitae is Vitae, right? So he will, and he's probably thirsty as fuck, and not in that sense.
It tastes a bit smoky.
Oh, okay. Like
the person that, like the person that it's from was probably a 20-a-day smoker.
Well, he drinks it, and he's been. I don't know if you actually spend blood for each day when you are in transit, but like he was, but he's probably.
No, that's the reason you get state, because you don't spend blood to wake up.
Okay, good. But he's probably so thirsty, so he will enjoy it. Thank you, he says.
She gets out the map of Chicago, the territories map, and puts it on the table to show Damien.
Damien looks at it, studying it to see where it tries to find their current location, more or less.
The location where they are at the moment is right at the top on the left. Neighborhood.
You cut out, Lisa. I can't hear what you're saying.
Next O'Hare airport called Dunning. That's where they are right now.
Okay. I'm assuming that the same color codes is on it as in the
it's exactly the map.
Okay. So he takes a look at it and then says, "Okay, what kind of relationship do we have with the Anarchs?"
The established relationship so far is tentative. I know that the Anarchs have large numbers. I think they definitely outnumber us. I'm not sure about this about.
The thing I'm worried about, he says, is, and then he points out that the line that separates the Camarilla territories from each other. This line of Anarch territory means that if they saw fit, like the Zapat has already cut our territory in half with the large red blob there. But if the Anarchs saw fit, they could do the same up there, and then we would have not two territories, the two strips of territories, but three.
She nods. She nods and sort of pensively trails. The most important thing is to make sure that we keep hold of this top left section of the territory and control the ports.
And airport.
We don't want them we don't want them ferrying in reinforcements.
No, definitely not.
Without being noticed. Long story short, Damien, I think that the city has gone without any organisation formally for quite some time, which has given that. room to gain power.
He nods, and he has a pensive look as he listens when she speaks. So what's your plan?
My plan: get everybody together, what we have, what resources we have, who we are, and then start together to
Mm. He nods.
recapture some of the key points.
And then Damien nods for a moment. Then he, like for a couple of moments, he just looks at the map in silence, like rubbing his chin, thinking. And then he looks at them and at the two others and says, "Even though I really don't like this stripe of green or whatever it is that separates our territories, I think that we need to. Again, I don't know anything about the city, so if I'm speaking bullshit, please tell me. But as a generic idea, the Anarchs are less of a problem than the Sabbat are."
Typically, that's true.
So it would probably be a good idea to try to reach out to the Anarchs and gain some kind of, if not downright alliance, then at least a mutual understanding with them. That way we won't risk ending up fighting on two fronts.
As I said, a young Gangle enters the facility. He looks, as he does in his overlay with a bit of a trench coat on, a sweater, a shirt, a baseball cap, and a bandana. But it's not covering his face. He takes off the cap if he's indoors.
Currently, they're in a which has the location of which has been given to the leaders of any innate. So you'll know the location of this house.
Okay.
And I presume, are you going to knock on the door, or are you just going to?
Yeah, he's just going to knock on the door and
Walk
then
in.
lean. He'll just knock on the door. He won't check to see if it's locked or anything. He expects there to be a proper security protocol. So he just knocks on the door and then waits and kind of leans by the side of the door.
Ghost stands up and walks to the door.
When Damien hears the knock on the door, he turns towards the door, but he doesn't move. He just keeps he puts the mask back on just in case.
When the door opens, the man just kind of turns to whoever's open it and just says, "Hey, name's Dormouse. Sorry for my total lack of punctuality. That work's a bitch."
Looks him over.
He actually does give a casual salute. It's actually meaningful. He doesn't necessarily stand at attention there. It's not sarcastic.
And after sort of giving him a general sort of look over, she will step back and allow him in. That she's been told who's
Yes.
who.
Oh, yes. This guy's prestigious sire. You know who he is.
Yup.
Um, Yeah, if you step back and let him in, he'll step in.
She steps back and she lets him in. She's sort of giving him a slightly cautious look until she closes the door. Even though she seems to be sort of weighing him up in the way that weigh somebody up before a fight. Then she extends her hand and says, "I'm Ghost."
Ah, yes. I've heard of you. An absolute pleasure indeed. And he'll shake her hand.
And she points to group, sort of indicating for them to introduce themselves.
Monroe will stand and she will walk over to Dormouse. She has these black leather pants with this kind of like suede embroidery done across them, black sweater, and this like motorcycle riding jacket that's kind of fitted. Pleasure to meet you. My name is Monroe. You can call me. Can I interest you in something to drink? You look weary.
It'd be appreciated, thank you.
She will incline her hand.
And Damien will also extend his hand, which is gloved, by the way. He's wearing gloves. Says Damien Johnson. Nice to meet you.
Likewise, Mr. Johnson. I hope we work well together. And if there's a seat, Dormouse will... Well, he won't take it, actually. He'll kind of stand before all of them and just say, I am Dormouse, child of Xavier, child of... Wait a second. Let me get this straight before I get it wrong.
Please tell me he actually says that.
No, he doesn't. I'm not that bad. Wait, no, I almost remembered it. It's the fucking one after Xavier here. Here we go. Child of Xavier, child of Rune of Titagal, child of Wolfgar Riva, child of Voliva Red.
Damien smiles. And then as soon as he's realized that the newcomer is a vampire, he will remove his mask and reveal his pretty face.
Also, everyone of Cameralore recognizes that Xavier was the former Justicar of Clan Gangrel.
Ooh, that is it.
Ghost smirks and she says, "Holy shit, man, that was almost Ventry."
Yeah, until I heard that. Until I heard until I heard your sire's name, I thought you might be Ventru.
Keeping track of where you come from is an often useful tool when it comes to survivability.
Yeah, and
there is that.
You know, everyone can appreciate a good lineage every now and again. Rosa is coming from the kitchen. She will give Dormouse this goblet that has this warm blood in it.
Thank you. It's a useful asset. Obviously, my sire has a lot more important things to do nowadays. His work keeps him busy. But that's not what I'm here for. I believe, and I've already apologized for myself being late. Would anyone care to get me caught up on the situation? I may be able to assist in several things.
Oh. Need all the help that we can get. The situation is complex.
Ghost, she takes a seat again and she indicates for Dormouse to sit down. She seems a little bit more relaxed though Ghost's body language is never fully relaxed.
No.
Damien stands next to the map again and then he says, "So what I was thinking before you arrived, Mr. Dormouse, is that I don't like the colors of this map."
No.
And while while it should have, of course, every part of it should of course be painted blue, I think if we're to have any luck in this, we should probably think not only tactically but also strategically, which means that I don't know what your opinion is, but in my opinion, it would be wiser to seek some sort of common understanding with the Anarchs in order to face the Sabbat than risk the Sabbat beating us to that and end up having to fight on two fronts.
Yes. While the Anarchs are a lesser threat, they are a key player that could change the tide of war should they decide to get involved on one side.
That's my point.
Their poor positioning puts our northern domains at risk. They don't serve as a buffer. They serve as a buffer for the Sabbat, not for us. They split up our domains. We don't necessarily need them to get involved on our side, more than we need to secure safe passage for our own soldiers through these domains.
Yeah, I agree. And we need an assurance that they won't take the Sabbat side. If we get that, then we can. Then we don't need. Then we, of course, it would be nice to have, but we don't need them to join the fight as such. Now, in my opinion, and see, I cannot read the names are blurred, but in like to the in the right side of the map there are, I think, Hyde Park, it says, and then the two territories just below that.
Hyde Park. I'm trying to find it on the map. Where is it? Where is it on the?
It is like in it's part of our area. It is right. It is 1, 2, 3, 4
Yes, I see
steps
it.
down from and then the two red territories just beneath that. Something wood and something south, I think. And then he points to those two areas. One of our first orders of business should be to secure ourselves as much of a connection with our territories as possible. So, again, in my opinion, these two should be among our first priorities.
It's possible if we take the western side, if we can go through Ashburn to Woodlawn, then take Clearing Garfield Ridge. We don't know who controls Clearing or Garfield Ridge, if they even control at all. I'd also like for us to handle Riverdale. While Riverdale isn't per se a significant threat because there won't be as many Sabbat there, the fact that they'd be able to constantly harass our backlines while we try to push into the inner part of the city will basically mean we'll be trading domains as we move up, and they'll just be able to establish a foothold on the southern side of the city. Now, I would like for us to sort out some of our flanks on some of our neighborhoods. Avalon Park is under significant threat. It can be attacked from almost 360 degrees. They can come in from 4 different areas.
Where is that, by the way? Sorry, OC.
It's by Chatham. It's between Chatham and South Chicago. It's the right-angled triangle.
Oh, there. Yes, sorry, got it.
If we could take Auburn, Gresham, Chatham, and South Chicago and send a small force to take Riverdale, as we don't want to divert major forces towards taking that, or the Sabbat will simply capitalize on it and attack a place like Ashburn or Washington Heights. We can secure our position on the south side of the city.
That might be an extra reason why taking what does it? OC, does it say wood something just above the South Shore and Wood what?
South Shore, yes. If we can take South Shore and Woodlawn, we could isolate South Chicago.
Yes, that's what I meant.
And
that would also solve our problem with Avalon Park being too exposed.
Yeah, and we could take Armour Square while at it.
Coastling's full.
I'm sorry.
We're in an unusual situation because When we come normally when you come to a city, you go to an Elysium, you see a prince, you get recognized. None of that is happening right now. We mustn't let our current disorganization be a foothold for the Sabbat getting a jump on us, which is why I think our first order of business is to get all the kindred together.
We need to organize, indeed.
To organize ourselves. Disorganization is going to fuck us over big time, to put it frankly.
Yeah.
We need to unify to take out this threat.
I agree. We definitely all want to be organised, although I would perhaps disagree with having all our kindred in one place. It would be, especially if the information were to get out, the Sabbat could launch a surprise attack that could inflict devastating losses. Perhaps.
That's always going to be a risk, though, Damien says.
Well, we're split up across the domains. We could hold meeting points across the domains and have communication channels in these locations, which would in effect be the same thing.
Damien looks at ghosts.
I can accommodate for this. I have the resources to perform such a thing.
I need to get in touch with the Primogens.
Yes.
And find out what the fuck happened. You know, all of this going down. I mean, I know this. I know the story, but I don't know the story.
Would you like?
You get what I mean?
Would you like to speak with them directly, or would you just merely want us to relay their stories back to you?
I want to know what the structure is, if there's any structure at all. Okay. Because, you know, the Sabbat have a structure. They have a defined order of command. The Anarchs even have a pecking order of command. But if we're all just stood around in our domains, in our little hidey hole, we're not going to do much. We need to pull together, look at what resources we have, look at what influence we have, and look about how we can start to take back the city. Planning, preparation, information.
Well, being, of course, a simple neonate, there's not too much I can do to help you. I might try and see if I can track down my own Primogen, and perhaps there are independent gang within the city I can contact and perhaps barter for assistance. Of course, that would be how far negotiations would go would be down to you. When it comes to taking back the city, I definitely think we should be taking the proactive stance here. While it looks like for Sabbat do have several areas of our position, several areas of our own domains ripe for attack, ultimately they are the ones that are penned in by many Camarilla areas. They are completely trapped in the central area. We outflank them. The only real issue is the three little Sabbat domains between Humboldt Park and South Lawndale. But near Westside is safe from the Sabbat. The only bordering domains are our own, near Southside and Westtown, which is currently under no one's control. If we launch an attack from near Westside while simply having South Lawndale hold their position and defend their domain, they do not launch an attack because they're far too vulnerable in their current state to do so. We could retake some of these domains while not necessarily losing much in return. Of course, that will come down to the tactical proficiency of the kindred involved, but we're definitely in a position to retake those domains and fully pen in the Sabbat once we retake those domains at Riverdale. Once we have those domains under control, we can begin just penning in a Sabbat and slowly closing the circle towards the center part of the city. They'll either break down or they'll rally.
You know,
It tends to be an all or nothing scenario for Sabbat, from what I've noticed. Our north side could potentially investigate these independent domains and expand our influence of control over them. This would limit the damage the Iron Alex could possibly cause after war is over. But that would be something very much in the future. I definitely think we should make moves on North Park, Jefferson Park, and Forest Glen, just so we can, and Edison Park, so we can fully control the northwestern side of the city. And it would, again, limit the Anarchs' movement. It would perhaps force them to negotiate with us.
I agree. It seems like those will be all valuable stratagems for us to employ after, of course, we've taken stock of our resources and established some kind of nexus of communication within the city.
Yes. Base communications are our most important issue so far. Again, I can provide the technology for this, and I can definitely get my own clan in contact with yourself.
I will be happy to help in those endeavors, of course.
well, yeah. I mean,
when it comes to taking domains, we have a general idea of what domains we want to take and how, but how do we take a domain? We have our strategy, but not our tactics sorted out.
Yeah, that's going to be tricky, I imagine.
Well, ultimately, Camarilla and Sabbat wars are ultimately guerrilla wars that come down to espionage and information, more so than brute strength. We thrive in anonymity. So it really comes down to knowing where the Sabbat kindred are and where they're focused around the city. I do have the means, or at least some of the means, to begin narrowing down the areas where the Sabbat are likely to be. Of course, the fact that we know where the Sabbat domains are helps in this. But usually,
when Dormouse says that, Moreau kind of balances forward on the edge of her chair. Definitely very interested in this.
a great way to narrow down what a Sabbat are often is to cast a net. And what I mean by that is following medical and police reports. Not crime rates, but specific crimes, specific accidents. Usually, the Sabbat have their own racks. And you can track with the right friends where these accidents are happening. For example, at one point, I was in a situation not too dissimilar for this. I just stood outside a hospital, and then you'd have ambulances show up, of course. And then you'd have the ambulance drivers ask, and then you just ask the ambulance drivers casually, what happened? Like, what happened on this case? They're having a smoke. You buy them a coffee or something. And you simply ask them what happened, and you begin to isolate the cases where there might be a loss of blood, or there might be a very specific kind of violence that would indicate kindred activity. You begin to discover areas of crime that are Sabbat related. Usually almost street gang related.
have you noticed
Pack-like
something?
structure. Pardon?
Have you noticed something? She leans over the map, pointing to the south of the map. If you check out the demographics, the crime statistics in Chicago, the highest rates of homicide, violent crime, and gang-related crime in the south side. The lowest rates are in the areas that we control.
Hmm. Sabat are not subtle, but usually a pattern begins to emerge within the neighborhoods. If you pin, for example, if you pin on a map and begin to put a pin on each area of crime, usually there'll be a small shape. Sometimes it could be anything from a triangle to a circle to a rectangle. The point is that there's a pattern, because there's an area that people go out and then they go back, and they go out and then they go back. You can begin to narrow down the general area, and then you can begin to send people into those areas depending on the situation. You might want a social sort, you might want a more discreet sort.
Ghost looks to Monroe with a sly smile.
Monroe kind of returns the smile as she sips from her glass.
City animals are a fantastic way of tracking down kindred. Just ask them if they've seen anyone that smells dead and of blood, like, well, them, us. And they'll tell you. Once you've narrowed down the area, it's fairly easy. Especially if you have underworld connections, you can begin to put plants in the gangs.
Well,
Program them mentally to look for pale skin, lack of breath.
I just wanted to give you a heads up and let you know that I'm here and we're here. And we can start making moves.
I'll be immediately looking to secure Riverdale for us. It's an easy target. I definitely appreciate the heads up. But yes, I'll be focusing my attention on Riverdale, South Shore, Chatham, and Auburn. Then I'll be moving on to Woodlawn and Clearing.
All right.
I would suggest.
Well,
sorry.
Just rolled in, and it's getting late, so I think we might want to hit the hay for the night.
Yes. One last thing. I've noticed in my travels and dealings with the bad. It's either best to attack them very, very early on in the night or very, very late.
Just looks at him like he's teaching her something that she didn't know.
Most Sabbat are not, well, they are particularly monstrous, and that affects their ability to operate early and late on in the night between the sunset, well, soon after the sunset and soon before it rises. They succumb to torpor more easily.
Yeah.
They're lethargic during those times, and they find it difficult to operate if they can at all. We could, in theory, find a bunch of Sabbat and stake them before they've even woken up. Of course, we shouldn't assume this. There are some Sabbat out there who I presume are humane. I just haven't met any.
And that's not to disregard any kind of morals they might have to Western battles.
Well, I'll make sure to put a note of that in my fucking diary.
If I'm to let you know of my specialties, I am your technical support, your web worker, and control, as it were. I can provide all the technological support you need to get the job done, and I can provide all the background information you might need to get the job done. My secondary role is combat. I'm a fairly good shot and a fairly decent fighter, although I'm much better at wet work and sabotage in general.
Wow. Holy shit, aren't you?
You say technological support. How skilled are you in that area?
It's my profession.
So blueprints of our Sabat claim areas. Can you provide that? Electronic blueprints.
Of the city or particular areas? I can provide both.
Particularly the areas that are being held by our dear friends.
All I need to discover is the organization that handles that, and yes, I can break into almost any system.
That would be. She kind of looks at Ghost at that, and that would be critical if we wanted to strike a blow against their infrastructure. Even Sabat need infrastructure.
Ghost gives Monroe a softer look than she was giving Dormouse, and then just nods.
Medical reports, drone armies, surveillance of any kind, IEDs. I can provide these things.
She drains the last of what's in her glass.
Well, Merle will stand and she will check her phone. She'll give Dormouse a card. Here's my number. Make sure we keep in touch. This number will change, so I mean it. Be sure to keep in touch. I'll have another number for you within the month.
Likewise, I'll be switching burner phones every... It counts. Yeah, about every other week. So I'll keep you updated with the numbers I use.
Perfect. The budding infrastructure blooms. This is perfect. Well, I'll see you out.
No, thanks. Good evening, man. And you'll just, again, we give Ghost a casual salute.
She stands up, a sort of nod, polite nod.
Merle will walk Dormouse to the door. Be careful out there.
I'll be moving around. You'll see me there.
Okay. She'll see him to the door before she closes it behind him.
Ghost stands there and she sort of waits for Dormouse to leave the vicinity, and then she approaches Monroe at the door and takes out a gold lipstick case from her pocket and hands it to Monroe.
Merle kind of inclines her head to the side and her eyes narrow just slightly. And what is this? Knowing obviously what it is.
Preparation.
Kind of smiles and she kind of looks it over in her fingers, thumbs it around. Huh. Well, enough preparation for one night, huh?
Yeah. She gives her kind of like docile look before slipping on her jacket and reaching for the door.
Rose slips on her jacket as well. Well, fastens it, and she grabs her motorcycle helmet, slips it on.
As they walk into the night, back towards the motorcycle, Ghost climbs on, looking up into the night sky. And wistfully takes in a deep, imagined breath before she revs the engine.
So you rotate
waiting for
into
Moreau.
Moreau kind of gets on the back of the motorcycle, and her thin arms kind of grip Ghost around the waist tightly.
And the two will pull off into the distance, and that'll be the moment that we end the scene. Thank you for playing. Thank you for watching. Till next time.